Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Urania.
You're right, yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
You made it.
I know, I made it. It was hard to get to Canada today. I know. Was Drake in town or something? I heard he was.
He has been,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think there was this looming fog this morning.
Yes, but I
Yeah.
made it.
You made it. You're here.
And it's wonderful to be with you all. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you about how EssenceMediacom and the trade desk and so many of the people in this room are really shaping the future of connected television. And in somewhat of a prescient moment, we're here in this historic building, in this historic place to have this conversation. And so just so everybody knows, this isn't a panel, it's not a fireside chat. This is just going to kind of be a free-flowing conversation between us, but I wanted to start with like a little bit of an icebreaker. So Urania, can I quick fire some questions at you?
Yeah.
All right. Favorite ad of all time?
Okay. So I really, if you guys remember the super young Darth Vader with Volkswagen, 2011 Super Bowl. Love that one.
Yep.
But that was just from a creative standpoint, I think. But I think my favorite is probably Dove Real Beauty. I think it's celebrating 20 years this year. And I just think it has sustained over these 20 years. It continues to be an important topic. Hi, Christine. It has continued to be an important topic. And it's morphed into different areas as well. Image distortion, deep fakes. They've used that platform. And I think in the competitive beauty industry, they continue to stay in the conversation with it. And I think that's what makes it resonate with me.
How many 20-year ad campaigns can you name? I mean, that's amazing. Also, 20 years ago? I feel so old.
We are old.
That's when that commercial. Okay.
I'm like, I diet, but yeah.
Current binge watch.
Okay, so I'm behind the times, but it's Ted Lasso. So yeah, nice. I'm watching Ted Lasso. So I'm on the last season right now, but it's been great. I'm definitely a person that likes to save the whole series up and just like kill it.
Yep.
But it's been great. Yeah, the characters, the topics, the kindness.
It's a little bit of hope and lightness.
It's a little bit of hope.
It's
in this good world. Writing, all of it.
All right, I'm going to round us out with favorite musical artist you can't live without.
Okay, I'm not that big of a music. I'm not that big of a music buff. Obviously, I listen. Yeah, right. Boom. But I have to say, probably right now it'd be U2. I saw them at the Sphere a few months ago. They reminded me why I love them. I had seen them about 6 times before that over the years.
Wow.
So they are one of my favorite bands. But yeah, it's their music just lasts.
That's epic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Your favorite music?
Oh, yes. Okay, I'll go. My favorite music, I'll just stay there, is Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin is my favorite all-time band. They really, showed Americans what rock and roll was supposed to sound like, which I appreciate, and we've taken it.
I never would have said that.
Yeah, oh, really?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it was a little bit before my time, but all right, well, now that everyone knows who we are and what we love, I wanted to start by offering you congratulations on winning the Government of Canada account. So congratulations.
Thank you.
EssenceMediacom and the trade desk together serve us a lot of mutual business. We're super fortunate to be able to support your business and your advertisers, Coca-Cola, Dell, Universal Pictures. But can you just, I think for a lot of us, like how an agency goes after an account is a little bit of a legendary, mystical process. Can you talk us through how do you think about going after an account like that?
Yeah, so when we're starting the evaluation process, it definitely starts internally first.
Yeah.
We think about the opportunity, we think about the client, we think about the scale. Is it the right scale for our agency? Will we be able to provide them value?
Yes.
Can we really provide them value for their business? The other side is culture. Culturally, do we think it'll be, sorry, I'm not looking this way at all. Culturally, do we think, okay, I'll handle this side.
Sounds good.
Culturally, do we feel like it's going to be the right fit and mutually beneficial again for both.
Yeah.
And then the other important topic for us is whether it's an open category.
Right.
So from a competitive standpoint,
Yeah.
is it an open category for us? Is it an area
That
that we
makes
want to
sense.
be we want to get into?
Yeah.
And then the process of pitching is mystical. I'm not sure I can like even touch that in like.
You need a
I'm
drink
looking
for
at
that?
my pitch team over
Yeah.
there. I'm like, I don't think we could describe what it means to go through a pitch process and how exactly you do it. But there's definitely best practices.
Yeah.
It's having all the right people in the room together.
Yeah.
It's having people in the room who are not precious and can also just tell it each other like it is.
Yes.
Give the feedback and not worry about whether we're going to be friends afterwards, because we still are. Yeah,
And
and it's a bit of magic sauce.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Magic sauce, no sleep, I'm guessing.
Yes, we're doing better with the sleep. And
that's
the older
good.
you get, you need like.
You just need it.
You just need it. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do it
Otherwise
anymore.
you fall asleep in the meeting.
Yeah, I can't do it anymore. But yes,
And
yeah.
in the rooms, what is resonating in market right now?
In pitches.
and with
pitches.
your
I think
clients.
from a trend standpoint, what we're hearing a lot about is the need for agility, the need to be agile and get to market as quickly as possible without sacrificing quality.
Yes.
Right? The second important thing we're hearing right now, and again, this is from my perspective as general management oversight, is doing more with less. So there's no doubt, we all know the economic times, the economic landscape right now, all clients are feeling the pinch. And so they're asking us, I mean, they used to ask us to do more with less back in the day. Now it's one of the most important things. How
Yeah.
can we do more with less?
Yeah.
And then I would say finally, it's not the dreaded funnel. Like it's just talking about, we know that there's been almost we talk about this all the time, the swing to, focus too much on the lower funnel
Yeah.
and not making sure we're looking at the funnel all the way through.
Yeah.
And many brands today are facing the challenge of, will my brand exist 5 to 10 years from now
Yeah.
if I'm not continuing to build equity and brand love up at the top?
Yeah.
So as much as, yes, we are beholden to our targets, and some of us are only as good as our next 3 months,
Yeah.
you still need to think about your brand long term. And so marketers are in a very tough position today, kind of finding the balance between those two.
Yeah. I totally. One thing somebody said to me not long ago, marketing never changes. It's everything around it that changes.
Yeah.
So macroeconomic climate, how media is consumed, what type of content is out there, how are people spending their time. All of that stuff changes.
Right.
But the principles behind brand building, brand superiority, the funnel and conversion never change.
Never change.
Yeah.
How Brands Grow is still a very relevant book, right?
It totally is.
Right. Yeah.
It totally is.
Okay. So from my standpoint, obviously I run a local media agency.
Yes.
Obviously part of a global network, but from your position, we talked about Coca-Cola or Universal Pictures. Those are two big
Yep.
global pieces of business for us. How, from your side, do you see bringing global learnings? How do you take that and apply it to local teams? How do you translate that to local teams?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I think one, you can't overestimate the influence of global. I remember read an article, I think it was Harvard Business Review a couple of years ago. There's someone who argued that most companies just shouldn't even have global account management as a concept, because so much has been distributed into regions and local markets. So you just really can't overestimate the influence you can have from a central location in a truly global company like either of ours or like a Coca-Cola. And so you have to really have both. But when we have had a lot of success, I think in establishing a global relationship, it's been about a real North Star or alignment of values and alignment of what will grow both of our businesses together effectively. And if we can create the right incentives for that, if we can decide to build the right products which will be relevant to the key local markets for a global company, then we've been able to make a real impact with a global relationship in local markets. But you got to be there. You got to understand the place and the people and the consumers. So we haven't, for example, said to our global team, well, you guys run this and you guys fly in and figure it out in Canada. It doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't work that way. And as a local leader, I completely agree.
Good.
It doesn't work that way.
Woo.
You absolutely, I think there's Yes, there's certainly benefit from our standpoint as well. The global our global footprint really provides us with whether it's best practices, whether it's that overarching.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, being able to localize it, being able to be in the market, experience the content, being culturally relevant, like those things can't be replicated from someone, forgive me, sitting in New York, right? Like you
Totally.
need to be in this marketplace. And you even see it, if I can, like between English and French Canada as well. There's no doubt, right? As
Yeah.
an English consumer, I don't sit at home watching the same content every day that the Quebec team does when they go
Definitely.
home. So I think there's such importance to being in the market and understanding our consumers versus the global target.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Well, I know we're here to talk about CTV.
Right.
So we should probably do that.
Right.
I I could talk to you about any of these other things for a while, but
Yeah.
you have said, EssenceMediacom and Group M have both said, you have seen CTV increase twofold in the last 2 years from your advertisers and from your buying. So why do you think advertisers are increasing spend like that in Group M in turn?
Yeah. I think advertisers and CTV is growing. Advertisers are really leaning into addressability.
Yep.
At the end of the day, we're leaning into addressability. And at the beginning, I talked about doing more with less and being able to be addressable, being able to increase our advertising to our specific target audience, hopefully less waste. That is helping us do exactly that.
Yep.
And I think also CTV today, connected TV today, CTV, is really premium quality. So
Yep.
what we would have historically called, broadcast quality content, now really is premium quality content. And many of our partners and our clients are still very passionate about premium, brand safe inventory. That allows them and us, obviously, to deliver on the reach and frequency that we still know are media best practices
Yeah.
and need to be done in order to break through and
Yeah.
hit our KPIs and deliver.
Yeah.
So CTV allows us to do that, has allowed us extended in other areas to do that. And I think we know from Kantar also, so of course I did a little bit of research. Kantar, I'm going to give you guys some stats. There's a reception to, it's receptive, advertisers are receptive to premium OTT placements, right?
Yes.
There's a 37% increase from a brand awareness standpoint, and it's almost a 2 times higher brand association than non-premium or UGC content. So
Oh,
there's
wow.
no question. There's no question CTV is resonating and it's receptive with our target audiences.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And especially, we were born as a programmatic company. We still are. But to think about, today we've talked about the Olympics, we've talked about Bell, we've talked about Paramount Plus. Like what we're able to do now is apply our new tools to what you said was traditionally called broadcast quality content. What we call now premium quality content. And like we said earlier, like marketing hasn't changed. We're still thinking about how brands grow in reach and frequency. But what we're trying to do is apply better tools to create optimal reach and frequency in premium quality content. So it doesn't sound like rocket science, even though DSPs and programmatic can really be like a lot of gobbledygook and acronyms and all of that. But at the end of the day, I think that that's the power of what we're delivering right now. Okay, so then how, as we said, the circumstances around the marketing funnel change. You talked all about different experiences. There are more and more ways that consumers receive quality content. The content distribution has fragmented, which means that you have to plan differently. So what does this mean for planning?
Yeah,
for
so from a planning standpoint, when it comes to our video content, we build on our video neutral planning strategy. And so using at EssenceMediacom and across Group M, using a growth planner tool that we have, it really helps us set an initial budget allocation against video channels.
Okay.
So data sources there, first party data, Environics, Prism. I don't know if Gotham's here. Prism segments, because I always say that Prisma. I don't know, you guys, I say it wrong. Prism segments. So all that data's in there. We're also able to apply other considerations, obviously, like reach and frequency targets, goals, contextual considerations, et cetera. And so this tool allows us to input a first kind of budget allocation
Yeah.
across video channels. So that includes OLV, addressable TV,
Yeah.
digital out of home, as well as digital audio.
That's cool.
So, and from there, great, this tool helps us do this, but absolutely we need a human being, we need a planner to look at this now and to really think about, okay, what does this mean for our brand, for our campaign, what we need to achieve in order to deliver, obviously, our total KPIs.
For sure.
And what we've seen is, with the trade desk, when we've coupled this with the trade desk in some cases, you know, one of our global clients saw a significant increase. It was about a 27% increase in media that they could reinvest in working media.
Amazing.
Because we were able to manage frequency across platforms and devices with the trade desk. And then they also saw a higher unique household penetration.
That's awesome.
So really positive things. But again, it's the human beings looking across all of it and seeing what more we can do, our planners seeing what more we can do to our clients' benefits.
Well, I love the mentality of that sort of audience first planning mentality across all of the different consumer experiences that someone might have, and then applying technology to optimize reach and frequency across it. Like so often I think of what's been wrong in media is like we cast such a broad net, and then optimization is chopping it down, trying to find the right place. But if you start from a place of data and audience, you can cast a better net initially, right? Which I think is really powerful. I just want to also plug, and you guys have been such incredible partners. For me, audience-based planning is at really the forefront of what we're trying to release with our Kokai product. So other people have talked about this, but bringing data to so much of programmatic data lives at the end. It lives in reporting after the fact, and in reality, it should be brought to the forefront and into planning, just like you're talking about. So I'm excited to keep making progress there. Amazing. Well, we're at the Globe and Mail.
We're at the Globe and Mail. Let's talk journalism. Yes. Okay. So from a trade desk standpoint, to be honest, when you think about an advertising tech platform, you don't necessarily connect it with supporting local journalism or supporting journalism. So what is the trade desk doing in order to save journalism?
I don't know if we deserve that mantle, but I agree that tech is not typically associated with helping. It's usually associated with hurting. If anyone hasn't read, there's an amazing Kara Swisher article called When Tech Ate Media. I think it was in The Atlantic. If you haven't read it, I think it's sort of the responsibility of people in our industry to read this article, because what she talks about is basically the people, and I'll bet you and I both watch so much of this through our careers, the people who were denying the technology in favor of more traditional media, saying, oh, that'll pass, it's a fad. And fast forward to, we're really facing what I consider an extinction level event of local journalism and journalism in many countries around the world. And so how I think of it is we need to give premium content, and especially journalism right now, better ad products for monetization. So much of the best ad tech products have been put into search and social media. We have to collectively invest more time and energy into building more performant ads, better ad product in journalism. So in much of North America, for me, what that takes the shape of is the conversation now about a more authenticated internet and around better privacy-conscious regulations and more informed and empowered consumers. And so what that looks like is really there's a big premium on any media companies, streamers who have a logged-in user base. To me, this is driving so much of the success of connected television, is that it's almost entirely logged in, which means there's the ability for frequency capping and one-to-one addressability, and it's future-proofed because everyone has the opportunity to ask for the consent of a consumer to do personalization. So in digital audio, in gaming, in connected television, you have huge, huge penetration of consent. In journalism, in North America, you have almost none. And that is a huge, huge problem for the future of journalism. And I don't know if you guys are seeing the same ecosystem I am, but they can't handle less money. They need more money.
They need more money.
Not less.
Yes.
So
Yes.
for us, we've created something called Open Pass, which is basically a single sign-on to enable journalism and any publishers that want to be able to create authentication and derive those higher CPMs for addressability. But we've also integrated with third parties, companies like Advertisers, because a lot of the problem has been journalism gets blocked for ad quality issues, when in reality, often that's painted with way too broad a brush. And most marketers I know are excited to support journalism and be adjacent to the journalism that I think their brands can gain superiority from. So you can tell I'm super passionate about this, but I would love to hear your lens and how your clients have talked about it inside the walls of EssenceMediacom.
Yeah. Well, I think journalism and supporting the local Canadian publishers and the local Canadian media ecosystem has been a very important topic in our industry for the last couple of years. So at the CMDC, we have the Canadian Media Manifesto, which is really about increasing Canadian share of digital investment to 25% by 2025. And the truth is, advertising plays a key role in that. So last week, it was the CMDC held their summit, and Robin Doolittle, the investigative journalist at the Globe and Mail, she spoke to us in the evening, and she just talked about the fact how, some of the pieces she's worked on take upwards of 12 to 18 months of commitment and research and ongoing sourcing. All of that work needs to be done. And one of the key reasons it is possible is because of the dollars from an advertising standpoint, because of the dollars that are being invested with the publisher, with the publication. And I think, as Canadians, we have every right to know that content, to be aware of it, for it to be reported to us. And that is democracy, and that is, and on top of it, it's continuing to support our Canadian economy. So, I looked at some other data, and it was about 37 news outlets shut down in 2023. Last year, most of them community newspapers, and some of them privately held independent radio stations. And only one news outlet was launched in 2023 from a Canadian standpoint. So, and that doesn't take into account how many have closed since 2008. So it's quite staggering. And so it is our responsibility, and something we talk about with our clients, to sometimes make those difficult choices and think about responsible investment, investing with intent, and really thinking about where we're putting those dollars on behalf of our clients in order to support our economy, our local journalists, our local democracy, our local just society in Canada, right?
I got to give a round of applause to that. That was awesome. I'm so with you. I think it's awesome, the stance that you take on this issue, and that you back it up with your spend. I think everybody in this room has a real part to play in this conversation. I talked about how I do think that premium content needs better ad product. It needs more investment and time, because it costs more to create. These journalists have to fly to these places. There's incredible investment in editorializing and fact checking. And so, when you're up against media placements where content has a cost basis of zero or near zero, you have to value it differently. You have to recognize the stats like the ones that you talked about earlier, of the lift and the awareness and the intent are different with premium investment. And not to mention, as sort of the subscription economy fades and an ad-funded economy rises, whatever values we want to promote as a society, our ad dollars are the way that we get there. That's how we distribute, democratize, and subsidize the kinds of content. Do you want horizon-expanding, tear-inducing, heartwarming Ted Lasso?
Ted Lasso.
I do.
Yeah.
And so I love what you're doing, and thank you for that. Last thing I want to talk about, a little bit more personal. As we were prepping, I realized that you and I have both been at our respective companies for 12 years, which is not super common these days, especially in our industry. So I wanted to ask you a little bit more about, take me back 12 years. That was the start of Netflix. I think I looked up, this was when Gangnam Style song
Yep.
at the moment.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Pre-Drake.
Okay.
And so yeah, take me through your career trajectory a little bit, and how you've looked at staying at EssenceMediacom.
Yeah, I think what I've realized is the only person responsible for me staying up to date on trends and just the movement of our business, like the sole responsibility sits on me. Sole responsibility sits on all of us individually. Um, I think I have to carve out time every week, in my role especially. There's so many things, your brain goes from a business issue to an HR issue to an investment. Like it's you're constantly everywhere, but I have to carve out time personally every week in order to read local news, global news, really understand what the trends are, and stay on top of those things. And then it's also attending sessions like this. Like I've sat in the audience so many times and I'm like, oh, I know what she's talking about. Like this is like nothing. But
Same.
on the flip side, there's always like, I always go in thinking there's like one thing I'm going to hear. There's like one nugget. There's one different perspective that I haven't thought about that way. And I will take that away. And that is worth my 2 hours type of thing. That's how I look at these events, and what it can benefit. And then honestly, the other side is people, right? Like I have the smartest people in the industry, I'm sorry, working at EssenceMediacom. And just preparing for today and thinking about today, I met with some of my colleagues in the office and some of my team members, and I forgot like all our roles, different perspectives, what we see every day, how fast this business moves, and how much change happens in a matter of just 3 months, let alone,
Yeah.
12 years later, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I know you've been, like, you're the same, right? You've
Yes.
been with the trade desk for
Yes.
12 years.
Same number.
Right?
Yeah.
How old was it? Yeah. It was 3 years. It was barely 3 when you joined?
It was only, it was 2 basically when I joined, and there were 4 of us we had a windowless room in New York City that was terrible, and we had like a dirty coffee maker on the ground that we didn't clean often enough, but I think we had the principle of like, we want to do this a little differently. We want to be very clear about what we are and what we're not. We want to just be this buy-side platform. We just want to have this position of objectivity to represent buyers. And I think that afforded us the early confidence of teams like yours, because we said, hey, we're here to help do media buying better, and that's kind of it. And so we've stayed with that. But in the realm of what I've learned, I totally agree with your point about people. I think hiring people that are smarter and better than you is the greatest superpower you can develop. I didn't always do that. None of them are still there, so I made some mistakes early on, so I won't say any names. But I have since been able to hire people who teach me every day, who have more diversity of experience and thought, more experience than I do. And I'll tell you, when I figured out how to do that, my career changed entirely.
Yeah. It's a superpower. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Well, amazing. This has been such a great conversation. Thank you. I want to close by asking you, we always want to think about what's ahead. So what in this CTV space are you the most excited about as we progress?
Yes. I think the 2 things for me is fueling CTV in the direction of being shoppable. So I know, in Canada especially, like our technology is not necessarily there, but creating the kind of consumer experience CTV is creating and being able to couple that all the way through to shoppability will be a game changer. That's exciting. And then the other side is sports, like just, premium sports online and the direction this is going. Sports, in my mind, they are a large tentpole, these like huge activations, these huge events. And typically when you think about the trade desk, or when you think about online, you're thinking about addressability, you're thinking about targeting, and this is really about going wide and expanding the reach. So I think going back to what I like, helping that whole funnel that we talked about. So it's not just about, middle to bottom now. It's really how can it'll help us address the whole funnel now.
100%. Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think live sports, we talked about the Olympics today. I don't know if we did. We should be talking about the NHL playoffs. Go Leafs, right?
Go Leafs.
Yeah.
Are they going to need a Ted Lasso moment after this? Like, do you guys?
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll put the believe sign right
Yeah,
here.
believe. Okay.
have
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
On our way out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. I think that live sports are just an incredibly exciting place, and along with shoppability, for me comes the all of the data coming online from the retailers to power. We so much hand wringing in our industry about signal loss, but in reality, what I see is when we have more confidence in how our ecosystem can deal with data, better data comes online, and that for me is all of the retailers bringing their data in and allowing us to measure and also like optimize sales in their stores with our digital marketing campaigns, which is what I start to see happening when you put that on top of the Olympics or the NHL playoffs. I think it's going to be fun.
Great.
Well, amazing. Thank you so much for
Thank
this time.
you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.